Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so now I want to talk a little NBA, nothing too serious. It's probably more Lakers centered, but I did want to start this off by saying, the Celtics lost. Anyway, yeah, the Celtics lost 110 to 101. Uh, the Missoula versus Spolstra matchup, I said was probably going to cost the Celtics about 2 games. I got Celtics in 6. I feel pretty good about that. So that's the first thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say is Chet Holmgren got 20 points in the first half of the game against New Orleans, game 2. They're up by like 18 last I checked, but I'm not watching that game. I was actually listening to a Celtics podcast. I just wanted to listen to the pain of the Celtics. It makes me feel a little better, you know. Yeah, that's pretty much that. But also saw a few things. Kenyon Martin. I listened to the podcast in the fullness of this segment yesterday, but I saw an excerpt of a segment that I watched. And what essentially he was saying is we need to feed Anthony Davis. We got this clear-cut advantage on the basketball floor at all times. We saw that in both first halves of both games. Anthony Davis can't be stopped by anybody on the Nuggets. Now maybe we don't have anybody that can stop Jokic. That's fine, but they can't stop him. Anthony Davis was chewing him up. And a lot of people are going to remember how Jokic was able to back down Anthony Davis, kind of just push him around. He has him by like 40 pounds, man. That's not really a thing. We probably shouldn't want Anthony Davis on him. We should probably want Anthony Davis playing weak side, which is why Rui is so important. But Rui's also not big enough, so it kind of gives you the same effect. And you also need Rui scoring, so blah, blah, blah. That's on... This is a matchup when it comes to trying to guard Jokic that I genuinely believe we shouldn't really think too much about. I know that sounds insane, but as I said at the beginning, before the series even started, I don't mind Jokic scoring. I just don't want him getting other people involved. I don't want anybody else scoring. He needs to be the only one. That's my attitude. So, because I think that it's futile trying to stop him because we don't have the size. And even if we had somebody who's strong enough, they're probably not savvy enough. I can't think of too many people in this league that could really do anything with him at all. So maybe if you had Bam Adebayo, you feel a lot better. Or if you had, I don't know, most of the people that I think are talented enough are probably too young. Like I think of a guy like Wemby. I would feel great if I had Wemby, but Wemby's gonna get pushed around just like AD did. He's too skinny. So there's nobody to really stop Jokic. He is who he is. I'm not wasting time trying to really stop him. I'm wasting time trying to stop Porter, KCP, Gordon, obviously Murray. Those are the people that need to be stopped. If they can only get 10 points out of each of those people, you're probably going to win the game. So that's my thinking. And if you notice that, and it's not like the Nuggets are scoring out of this world against us, you guys. They're really not. What did they score? 102 points in the last game? I mean, they're not scoring like that. I keep telling people the Nuggets are capable of scoring a lot, but from night to night to night throughout the course of this season, they have not been especially potent offensively. And so if you focus all your energy on scoring 140 points against them, maybe you end up with 125, but if they walk away with only 110, guess who wins? You do. And so I just think that the overall idea is to try to work things defensively, and that's not where our problem is. The same thing that Gilbert Arenas said in the same segment. You got to try to focus on fixing your offense. You're not executing well enough offensively to defeat this team. Your defense isn't the problem. You're not losing on the defensive end. You're losing because you're not able to respond when they score down the stretch. Now, you could look at it and say it's a defensive problem, but what the reality is you're missing shots. You have the shots to take. You just aren't running the right plays to create them. And so that's really my thing. I think we can score on the Denver Nuggets. I think we've proven that. And I'm just curious to see how we're going to come out at halftime in the next game. Regardless of what the score is, we have got to figure our third quarter issues out. Come out of that locker room playing worse than we did in the first half. No matter how dominant we were in the first half of both of those games, we still find ourselves falling apart in the third. And I don't know what happens when they go in that locker room and sit down with that coach, but it's almost like whatever they do, it makes them worse. So that's something I think the Lakers need to address immediately. And it's one of those situations where if you don't, then this series is over. And so I'm not necessarily one of those guys that have all the faith in the world that we can win Game 3. I'm a little more pessimistic than I probably should be as a talking head, but it's up to them to try to prove me wrong when I say the series is over. It's up to them to prove me wrong and put forth a certain level of belief in them that I have no evidence makes any sense to express to you guys about this unit as a mental team, as a mentality. They don't appear to be able to overcome things like this. And that's why I really don't feel too good about Game 3, and obviously the series. And plus, not only that, but even if you did have a strong mind, the way we got punched in these first 2 games, coupled with all of that's happened with this team leading up to it, it's one of the worst ways I've ever seen a series start, if I'm being honest. I've seen teams get swept. We've been swept. But this is like a certain level of demoralization that compounds on top of ineptitude, 8 games of ineptitude. It just makes you wonder if we really got anything left. I was looking at LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell talk about, it was just a little excerpt on IG talking about they were looking forward to the fans coming to the game and showing up, and they were saying they were ready for us. Our team looked shell-shocked. Between those 2 players, they look shell-shocked. They really do. I was looking at their eyes, and I was looking at what's coming out of their mouth. I'm seeing the smiles, and I ain't buying. I don't think LeBron James is really. I don't think he's really. He don't look like he's happy, to say the least. Even though he's smiling there and saying all the right things, I wasn't buying it. And D'Angelo Russell looked like he's like shell shocked. And it's unfortunate to a degree, but for D'Lo, I feel great because he did have a good playoff game. We saw him shoot the ball well. In the first half, he hit 5 threes. That was necessary for him. He needs to come out and play well again over the next 2 games, whether we win and lose those games, for his own personal psyche and for his own free agency. He needs to not have any more bad games in this series. And I'd kind of, like, if I was his agent and if I was in his circle, that's kind of what I would tell him. Like, you just need to play well, bro. Even if the team is winning, if you're going 1 for 9, that's bad for you. But if the team loses and you go 12 for 12, that's great for you. So that's kind of, he needs to get a little selfish in that way, because free agency is upon him, and opting in, having played poorly, in my opinion, he won't make it through. He won't survive this trade deadline next year. He survived this one. He won't. He's gonna get traded next year. If not in the offseason, at the trade deadline, if he doesn't play well in this series. I really genuinely think that. I don't really have a pulse for what I think Jeannie's gonna do. I think she, obviously she's not talking to anybody, but like just getting overall feel around who's talking about the organization. They say they ain't gonna fire Darvin, but that was before we lost the buzzer in Game 2. A lot happened between the time that was released, and it might not have been the most credible source that released it too. That's something that needs to be said. But they said that Darvin's gonna keep his job even if we get ousted in the round and early in the playoffs. Maybe they decide not to fire him in the offseason, but I don't think he has long throughout the course of next year's regular season before they do fire him. It's not if he gets off to a bad start after getting ousted in the first round and they do decide to keep him, it's going to be so much pressure from us, the fans, that they're probably going to have to fire him within 25 games of the season. I'm just being honest. It's just one of those situations where if this goes left the way it's supposed to, he probably should be moved on from. I think most organizations would fire their coach if they lost to the same team 12 times in a row, man. And that's not the only streak that's really inept in that situation, because you look at the Sacramento streak and it's very poor. You just, So I'm poised to watch the game tomorrow with an open mind. I don't feel good about this, but I've also not felt good about situations like this, and the team wins a game. The team wins 2 games. So I think if we were to win 2 games in this series, you still hate it that you lost the series, but you do feel like you could at least beat the Denver Nuggets somehow. You could beat them. And I think that's what we need as a fan base. Win the series, we'd love to, but get a game for sure. Get a game for sure, man. And tomorrow's a good game to get. We keep chipping away. Every lead we get seems to be bigger than the last one that we blow, if that makes any sense. We had a 10-point lead in game 1, had a 20-point game in game 2. Maybe we can get a 30-point game in game 3. You know that? Because at the end of the day, the stuff that you're doing in the first half is working. It is. And the stuff that Denver's doing in the first half is not working. They make adjustments after coming out of the locker room, coupled with us kind of taking our foot off the gas, and that's how they're able to win these games. But if you're Mike Malone, you're not exactly feeling like you're kicking tail. Not at all. And if he is telling his team that they're kicking tail, they're going to be in some trouble in the next series. If they survive us, for which they probably will. Going up against Minnesota, if they keep this same mentality and giving up big leads, thinking that they're going to be able to work their way back into these games, that type of luck is going to run out. And I'm telling y'all, the Denver Nuggets have not overly impressed me at all in this series. I just think the Lakers do not believe they can beat them, coupled with the bad season-long habits that this coach has for putting bad rotations on the floor, which happen to play in Denver's hands. And I think that circles back to why they don't believe, if I'm being completely honest with you. I think if this team was coached by a different coach, they would believe in each other. I really believe that. And that's something that needs to be said and understood. I don't think our team has a lack of faith in its players. I don't think so. I think the overall demoralizing defeat comes from believing that the coach is going to hurt the team in ways the team can't overcome. And that's not normal when you consider getting beat by the same team over and over again. We just can't beat them. I think our team knows we can defeat them with proper rotations and proper play calling. Because every time we run our plays properly, and every time we have the players on the floor that can give us an advantage, we end up scoring repeatedly on the Denver Nuggets. It's when we start making certain decisions, coming out the locker room, spending time with the coach, and the coach's rotations, and all these different things, the way he subs guys and stuff like that, that's where the lack of belief is. That's exactly where it is. And it equates to just not believing at all. And I really believe that. And a lot of times you see teams that don't believe, it's because they don't believe in the players, they don't believe in the coach, they don't believe in the system. I think it's directly pointed at Darvin Ham. I think all of the lack of belief is directly pointed at the coach. I really believe that. And if they were to have removed him and replaced him with somebody that they do believe in, I don't think they would be looking at each other in any way, saying we can't beat this team because of our matchups and stuff like that. I don't think so. And the evidence kind of shows me that with the fact that we're getting these big-ass leads and keep blowing them. The players can do it. You consider Austin Reeves hasn't had a good series as of yet, although experts tell me that he's doing a great job against Murray. I honestly haven't had an eye for his defense. He's probably doing a great job. I just ain't been really paying much attention to that for myself. But nevertheless, that's what the experts say. He's been locking Murray up. D'Lo had a good game in the last one. Rui's having a bad series, but I also think Rui's being asked to guard someone 300 pounds who continues to demoralize him. And I think in altitude, that's probably too much to ask of Rui Hachimura. Even though Rui's a well-conditioned athlete with a lot of strength, he's in altitude, and you're asking him to guard Jokic, man. So on the other end, when it's time to take shots, he doesn't have it. And I think the Denver Nuggets have done a good job of collapsing in on him, making his layups and some of them easy dunks that he usually gets more difficult against them. And so I haven't been as mad with him missing layups and stuff like that, because I don't think these are open layups. I think these are highly contested layups. That's what the eye test shows me. They're doing a great job on him defensively. So, we're used to Rui being able to get these easy dunks. We're used to Rui being able to wheel himself into the basket off of back cuts and stuff like that. And I just think Denver ain't really allowing it. I think you consider Gordon and Porter, those guys are huge. They create problems for him in a different kind of way. Yeah, man. We need offensive Austin to really exert himself. And it gets tricky because you want to continue to spam AD the way that I said Kenyon Martin said it. I think that's the right idea. But we really do need Austin Reeves to kind of, mature a little more as a basketball player. Now, we need him to step in and have him a 30-point game. We could use that. And I know, I'm telling you something, I don't know if he'll be traded in the offseason or not. But I do think this has been a terrible season for Austin Reeves. And I do think an offseason will do him some good. An offseason of training, an offseason to settle. I think this past offseason, he got paid. And we talked about this on this camera. I don't know Austin from anybody in the world. But sometimes when people first get that first check, it's a hell of an adjustment to catch up to. It's a hell of an adjustment. I think an offseason will really help him right now. Because last offseason, he got his first big check. He got rich. And that's a real thing. And I just think that's kind of been the lag for him throughout the course of the season, is adjusting to wealth, if I'm being honest. I really think that. He's a hell of a basketball player. He's extremely intelligent. He is getting better, in a lot of different ways, and I'm excited about him going forward. And I'm still a fan of what he does. I know of his limitations. I'm not expecting him to be an MVP, but I'm not giving up on Austin. I know a lot of Laker fans are frustrated with him. I've been frustrated with him. I think it's a terrible year for him. But I just look at him as an extremely intelligent basketball player, and when you don't have a smart basketball team, you don't trade away intelligent players. And quite honestly, we do not. We're not the brightest bunch. This yellow wearing team. So, respect to LeBron James, of course, but I'm just saying, like, as a collective unit, we've been really stupid, and I think it shows, and it showed all season. So you don't get rid of one of the smartest people. So that's my genuine thought, man. I think there could be some wholesale changes, but there are a few people that I'm not moving, and Austin is one of them. And that's really where it is. But as far as, and I don't think I want to move Rui either. I'm not loving what I'm seeing in these playoffs, but I think he's a highly efficient player, obviously shooter with a big body. I think he could be utilized much better by a better coach. Will be utilized much better by a better coach, and you'd be wise to value a player like him going forward. Yes, you would be very wise to do that, especially on the contract that he's on. I think we did a great job signing those two. After these playoffs, depending on how it goes, I wonder how bad our stars still want to be Lakers. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, I don't know how bad they're going to want to be Lakers in the offseason. I don't know. And if the Lakers do want to go after a Trae Young or somebody like that, we probably will have to trade away Austin Reeves. Just to double back there, we probably will have to trade away Rui Hachimura. I think those salaries will automatically match. So I want to make sure that I say that I went on record saying that Donovan Mitchell should probably be somebody we take off of our list because I didn't know if he was going to heal properly from his knee. He's looking great in these playoffs. So I don't know if I still feel that way. I ain't going to take him off the list. I'm just going to continue to monitor him. I am worried about his injury future, but the way that he's playing, you definitely want him on your team, to say the least. And I do think he would be a pretty good complementary superstar third guy between Bron and AD. I think he'd do a great job in that role. Trae Young, my opinion about him in that role isn't great. I like Trae Young if I'm rebuilding without LeBron James, because Trae Young needs an offense to himself. You got him, you're sharing with other people and all that type of stuff. You don't get him the proper Bruce Brown defensive shooting guard next to him. It could be a madhouse, expecting him to make up for what the problems are here when he wouldn't be getting all the touches he's supposed to get because AD and Bron are going to get those touches. You're asking him to line up in the corner at times. You're asking him not to take the ball up a couple times here and there. I think that Trae Young is a one-man band. And if you put a one-man band in a team type of situation where he has to defer to other people, I think you're going to diminish a lot of what it is that he is, frustrate him, and ultimately end up wanting to trade him after a year or two of that role. I don't want Trae Young in that role. Not at all. And I want the Laker fans to know that I like Trae Young a lot, and I would love to see him in purple and gold, but not in the third star to AD and Bron role. I don't think you're winning this series if you remove Rui and Austin and D'Lo and put Trae Young on this team right now. And that's nuanced because obviously you're going to put other players in position to make up for what is missing. You're going to have your power forward. You know what I mean? But I don't think we're winning this series even with Trae Young. I don't know who Trae Young is supposed to be guarding, and I don't think he flourishes in that role. I don't like him in that role. So that's just an updated thought, man. I gave that some thought. And I think Donovan Mitchell is better of the two for that role. And I'd like the Lakers to get creative as well in regards to maybe expand your list. If you could find somebody else that maybe fits those roles, that role as well, add them to the list. I know a lot of people mentioned Mikal Bridges. I would love to have Mikal Bridges because he never misses any basketball games. Period. Just off the strength of that, I want him on my team. But because of it, I think that the Josiah probably ain't trading him. And if he does trade him, he ain't trading him here. So I think it's no chance we're getting him. But I do want us to expand our thoughts in regards to, besides Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young, who would you like to put on this team? Make sure they're not a one-man band unless you are removing your stars, particularly Bron. I don't want him playing with no one-man bands, bro. I just don't. This complimentary player has to be able to play well off the ball. He has to be able to play some damn defense. And if he can run the fast break as fast as Bron can, that would be great. That's why I think Donovan Mitchell would be great in that situation. That's the criteria. I want explosiveness. I like the idea of what Russell Westbrook should have been versus what he was. An explosive, fast, uber energetic type of guy. I got a video to do on a player that I think we may be able to land in the range of our pick this season that I think we may want to do some homework on, see if he would be a good fit for what we are. And I'll do that video on Yves Missi is his name. Yeah, I heard one of the Laker Nation guys mention that he wanted him in the draft, and he felt that our pick wouldn't get him. But in a lot of the mock drafts I'm looking at, he probably will be available. So I'll do I'll do an entire video on him. I did homework on that kid last night, and I think he can help us at the center position. Kind of a traditional center, not gonna be doing too much shooting the ball. He ain't doing none of that. You know, he's like an upgrade to like a Clint Capella, Rich Man's, what's his name? Our guy that we got from the Pelicans, Jackson Hayes. He's like a Rich Man's Jackson Hayes. Yeah, he's better. He's an upgrade from Jackson Hayes, but similar. Probably same weaknesses. So I think that could be a good pick at 17, depending on what else is in the range. I still got a lot of homework to do on a lot of players around there, but I like the player's motor. So we'll talk about him in a separate video at a different time. But yeah, man, starting to do homework on these picks now that we know we got the 17th overall draft pick. We can start looking in the range and start doing homework. So, you know, that's really where my head is, man. I want the Lakers to get motor is essentially where I was going with that. The Missy kid has a very strong motor. Talking about what I think Russell Westbrook should have been versus what he is for the Lakers, motor. Somebody with a lot of energy who's going to push the damn rock, probably have a lot of energy in altitude, you know what I mean? That's the type of athlete I think the Lakers need to be trying to add to their situation. Somebody with a lot of heart, somebody who's going to be screaming when he dunks the ball, that kind of energy. Someone with a lot of inner spirit and energy. I think it could be great if we add that piece to our team. And of course we need a center, which is why I'm paying attention to the Missy kid. If I wouldn't want to draft a player with his weaknesses in most situations, But when you talk about where the Lakers are at, and you talk about the fact that this is a specialty draft where most of the players are role players anyway, this is the exception to that. I would definitely consider taking a limited player with the 17th overall pick in this particular draft, especially to fit a specific need that the Lakers have. Salute the Kobe minute that just passed. So that's really where my head is, man. I just want this team to get us a center, bro. And the good thing is there's like 4 or 5 of them in our range. They're legitimate centers in our range. So there's no excuse for the Lakers, if they decide to keep the pick, to not get the big that you need. Because there's going to be them. They're there. They are definitely there. Do not take another damn point guard. No. No more guards. If you want to get a wing or a forward, can dunk or something like that, I'm never against that, because I think that skills players are very important. Certain types of guards, obviously, with some size, the ability to defend, a Bruce Brown type. Obviously, you want that type of piece. But I don't think anything's more important for us than to get us a damn center. I really don't. My least favorite position in the league right now, but I'm taking the center, bro. I'm doing that. I'm not leaving us without one for a 3rd year in a row. Keep getting pushed around by this damn Serbian dude. Continues to destroy us every damn year. No more. Get a big man with some energy who's going to dunk on his damn head. For God's sakes. So, that's pretty much what I got to say, man. Looking forward to Game 3. Hopefully our Lakers can do something special in at least getting a basketball game against this team. Protecting home court and getting our respect back. And as I said, the Denver Nuggets are not scoring like that, man. Now, maybe that changes from here. If they come out and score 130 tomorrow, wouldn't necessarily surprise me. But they haven't been. And it's exactly what I said about them throughout the course of the midway through the season and beyond. I've been telling y'all, they're not an overly potent offense this year. They are an efficient offense, but they only go 6 or 7 deep. They need those players to have 30 points apiece for them to get to 140. And that's not really how they operate. So if you just turn up the heat on them offensively, maybe you can outscore them. But you got to execute properly, because they're going to be very efficient. So until our team, figures that out, probably going to continue to lose to the squad, man. And that's just what it is. So that's pretty much what I have to say. My name is BDL44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.